help you to understand and appreciate from where I am coming. So it is an initiative of the Council of Scientific and Industrial Research, Government of India. It is created as a private limited company. It's for all practical purposes. It is a for-profit company. Padma Vibhushan Dr. Vijay Kelkar, who has given the recommendation to the high-powered committee constituted by the Director General CSIR to float a company called CSIR Tech, has consented to become the chairman of the company, and Mr. Amitabh Srivastava, who is the Chief Executive Officer of the company, is taking care of the entire operations. We are venture funded by the private equity arm of the State Bank of India. So as far as the shareholding pattern is concerned, I mean, out of 100% equity, 80% is with Venture Center, which is created as a Section 25 company to nurture entrepreneurship in India. Out of remaining 20%, 10% is with the private equity arm of the State Bank of India, and the remaining 10% is with the CSIR Staff Welfare Fund. So, though for all practical purposes it is a for-profit company, but the Government of India is the major shareholder in it. What we do is we help the Indian public funded R&D labs commercialize their technologies, IP, know-how, and help them forging partnership in the industry. Next, please. So, I mean, we broadly do three types of things. We do the technology venturing. We have our own SIDBI registered venture capital fund in the order of 50 crores, which we are going to invest in the companies which are going to be either started by the scientists and researchers who are working in the public funded R&D labs, or are based on the technologies and the know-how which have emanated from the public funded R&D labs in India. So we do provide the funds to those companies, help them recruit the CEO, put up the business plan and the team together, help them raise the next round of funding, help them in POC, and so on and so forth. Another part of our activity portfolio is we help the R&D labs to sell their technologies. So we act as a sales and marketing arm of public funded R&D labs who have so far partnered with us. On the other hand, we help the Indian industry to access the technologies and R&D which are there with our partner labs and might be of their business interest. The third thing is we provide the technology insights both to the industrial partners and our R&D partners to scout the technologies and R&D capabilities which can essentially serve their business interests. From the lab's point of view, we help them bringing in market intelligence to evaluate or modify their R&D projects. So this is how we do. On the left hand side, we have our R&D partners who offer the process, product, technologies, IP rights, the scientist time, which is the scientist capability, that also we offer to the industry. Infrastructure, the state of the art infrastructure that the laboratories have, we offer the same to the industry, which comprises the multinational companies, Indian corporates, aspiring and budding entrepreneurs, and so on and so forth. We do this thing broadly through three mechanisms. One is the technology transfer. Whenever the technology is ready, we straight away provide to the a company who is interested in it. If at all the technology is not readily available, but the client has a requirement, we go back to our partner lab and say that here is the requirement. Can you make this solution and hand over to the company? The third thing is when the companies and the academic partners they do technology transfer and the directed R&D kind of thing, they build a sort of confidence on each other and probably would like to enter into the JVs, joint investments, and the spin-offs. And we, of course, have intention to help them in that area as well. Next, please. This is how we do. I mean, we have the labs and academic institutions on the left-hand side. CSIR Tech plays as an intermediary role in between. And on the right-hand side, there are enterprises or the industry. And next, please. Next, please. Next. So what we do is we have two sort of teams. One is the lab facing, another one is market facing. The lab facing team generates what we call the know-how database as to what the R&D labs have to offer to the industry. And the market facing team generates the market data. And what we do is to merge both of them in order to create the opportunities which we can call as a technology transfer opportunity, or a sponsored R&D project opportunity, or a consulting opportunity, or so on and so forth. Next, please. Next, please. This is our board. We have people both from the academia and both from the science and technology world as well as from the industry. Next, please. Yeah, this is something might be of interest to some of you, that we have curated what we call the know-how database, and of course Dr. Magesh is here, who has helped us a lot in creating this database, which is nothing but a repository of technologies which are available for industry. We do a lot of search engine optimization to drive the traffic from the Google to our know-how database. So somebody who is looking for a particular technology will also see a result in the Google search wherein one of our technology is also appearing. Next, please. Since morning we have been hearing that India has a rich repository of technologies, science, technology, capabilities, intellectual properties, and so on and so forth. 2/3 of that is being developed by the government system itself, and the rest of it is being done by the industry. So the chunk part of it comes from the government, and therefore it is obvious to talk about the industry and the academia partnership, because this particular R&D which happens in the R&D labs will have to go to the market. There are various mechanisms available for that, or there are various routes by this particular R&D which happens in the government R&D labs is being utilized. One is the science for science. So whatever R&D we do is utilized for the next generation of science. Another one is the G2G. For example, ISRO has its own mandate, DRDO has its own mandate, and that particular R&D, that kind of R&D is utilized for the captive consumption. So government is doing R&D for its own consumption. Another one is government to customer. That is very tricky area. It's not very recommended one. Across the globe, government is brushing it aside to deal directly with the customer, and therefore the only potential option we do have in the hand is government to business, and therefore the topic of today's discussion comes into the foreplay. Next, please. Let me try to decode this particular topic which has been given to me. We are saying building long-term relationship with industry for tech transfer. When we are talking about building, we are talking about two components. One is to let's get started and then nurture it. Few years back, about in 2005 or 6, I was a part of a team which has done very interesting exercise for the manpower restructuring for the government, for the Department of Police of Andhra Pradesh. One of the interesting findings of that study was the various police officers shared with us that because we do not have enough manpower, we are not able to concentrate on the petty thefts or the petty thieves. The people who are doing the pickpocketing, the people who are just stealing the tires from the bicycles, because we are busy in doing the Netaji Bandobast, because we are busy in solving the murder case, and so on and so forth. And over a period of time, those small thieves graduate in their career and become the bigger thieves. The same thing, why I recollected that particular instance is, Dr. Bhujang Rao has also shared with us that normally the corporate R&Ds, they do not give a full-fledged product development assignment to a R&D lab. They first want to build the confidence with the lab in order to give the small kind of work. It could be a testing, it could be a calibration, it could be a development of certain algorithms, and therefore it is very important to get started. Whatever small amount of work we are getting, we should not refuse it as a lab. I understand that it leads to a lot of problems that, because we are a science and technology lab of national and international repute, we cannot do the body shop kind of work for the industry or for the small companies. But we need to find out the mechanism as to not even the single query which comes from the industry should go unaddressed or unentertained. If at all we can do that, we will find that over a period of time we will be able to nurture many relationships with various companies. So that's what I understand when I'm using the word building. When I'm saying long term, of course it's not a short term. So what I mean is, the idea and the intention should not be to transfer a particular technology to a company and then wash our hands. It's not about handing over a process document or a know-how document and washing our hands. We need to have that particular intention always in our mind to do the cross-selling and upselling to the same client, and that will result into the long-term relationship. If the client is coming to us for a small testing service, we should be eyeing to sell something else also to them. It's very unlikely that a particular client is giving a small testing service to us. They do not have anything else which is relevant for the R&D lab as well. There might be some R&D capability sitting in the same lab or in some other lab, which could be of business interest to the client. So that has to be kept in mind. And when we are saying the long-term relationship, for example, in one of the instances, the lab has transferred the technology to a client, but has not given the codes and the algorithms. So every time he has to produce that particular medical device, he has to go back to the lab to take the algorithms and the codes. Now, the lab says that because of this, we have a long-term relationship with the client, because he is dependent on us and the client is hating this. I mean, he is trying to get these algorithms and the codes from somewhere else because he is fed up running around the labs every time he wants to make a particular product. So this should not be misunderstood whenever we talk about forging long-term relationship with industry. I mean, the most trickiest word in this topic is the relationship. What we understand as a relationship. As Dr. Fanny has also pointed out, that we speak the same language, but I mean the meaning could be different. I mean, what we say and what we mean could be different than what industry say and what they mean out of it. So the first word which comes into mind when we talk about any relationship, we say that it has to be mutually rewarding. That's the first thing which comes into mind. But the moment we talk about mutually rewarding is okay, but should it be mutually risky also? And then we say, okay, I don't know, is it going to be risky for me? Am I going to face the CAG queries out of that? And so on and so forth. So we need, as a lab, we need to understand that when we are talking about the mutually rewarding relationship, it is also bound to be mutually risky. It can be the technical risk which the lab can take care of it. It can be a commercial risk which the industry can take care of it. It can be a legal risk which both of them together can take care of it. So the roles and responsibility as far as the risk mitigation is concerned or sharing of risk is concerned, that has to be pretty clear at upfront. The third important aspect is the expectations. Various expectations are discussed, agreed, and written. And there are various which remain silent. So for example, I am taking a technology from your side. You are not giving me anything in writing that if at all somebody else will sue me for this, for making and selling this particular product using your technology by saying that I am infringing his patent, will you come and rescue me? And the agreement is invariably silent on that aspect, because the lab say how can I give you and how can I indemnify you as far as that aspect is concerned. Whereas the industry say that you have developed this technology, I am relying on you. You are telling me how to use this technology, and when I will go to the market, make this technology, make a product out of it, and somebody will sue me, will you not come and rescue me out of that? So the expectations should be categorically discussed, and wherever possible, they should be written in the appropriate form. The responsibility, as a lab, we always have this tendency to take only those responsibilities wherein we are comfortable, where our strengths are. Whereas the industry would also require us to go into the uncomfortable zone. So that responsibility will have to be clearly discussed if at all we want to forge a long-term relationship with industry. The major problem to have any kind of relationship, whether it is a business relationship or a relationship between academia and industry, or it is any personal relationship, it is very critical to know how to handle disappointments. I think it's all about the pipeline. The strength of our pipeline. For example, if a particular lab has only 5 industrially sponsored projects in hand, and out of which 2 or 3 clients will ditch, the lab will say that 50% of my industrial partners have ditched me. This is ridiculous mechanism to work with industry. Whereas on the other hand, there is another lab which has 50 such industrially sponsored projects, and out of that only 2-3 will ditch them. It will not bother them. So I think to handle the disappointment is a matter of the strength of the pipeline. You have to build a strong pipeline and have various relationships so that one or other or multiple such relationships will fructify. There is another problem. I think the scientists and the researchers are fine as whenever they observe any disappointments, and they are fine with the situation. They are fine to make the peace with the situation because their efforts have been ruined. But they are really scared to answer the CAG queries. there has to be mechanism to address that particular situation. I don't know whether public policy is the appropriate tool to address that problem, or there could be that has to be handled at the operational level with the director's intervention and so on and so forth. So when we have a CAG who can retrospectively investigate as to what went wrong, we do not have a prospective mechanism to find out whether what I am going to do is correct or not. The baggage of experience, I mean, we all have, as labs and scientists and researchers, the baggage of experience. In many cases it is useful, in few cases it is not. Because if somebody has ditched you, it's not appropriate to say that I'm not going to work with the industry or with kind of SME or with the SME which belongs to Karnataka or Andhra or so on and so forth. Having all said and done, I mean, we talk about building relationship with industry. I mean, ultimately, all these relationships are organization centric but driven by the people. I mean, I had a very bitter experience some time back when I was trying in my earlier organization. I was trying to forge a technology transfer deal between an Indian company and a Japanese R&D scientist. I mean, the lab scientist was representing a Japanese institute. And we had array of exchange of emails and telephonic discussions and letters and so on and so forth. And after some point of time, the Indian client has said that, I mean, go to hell, I don't want to work with this guy, I don't understand what he talks. The same thing the Japanese scientist also said, that, I mean, I cannot understand what kind of English he says. So, I mean, you know, it's all about people. I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, they are the people who are interacting and trying to forge this partnership. For example, when a business development head of R&D organization retires or transfers or go to lean or sabbatical, the industry finds it really, really difficult to handle such situation. So when we are talking about we are actually talking about the people, and the people handle the relationship. So it is very important to understand that the right set of people should be there in order to have the long-term relationship. When we talk about the industry, the next important word in the topic is the industry. I mean, we all use the word industry. I mean, there is no need to say that it's absolutely heterogeneous. If at all a R&D lab has not qualified a particular client, and what I call by using a tool called BAND analysis, for example, BAND stands for budget, authority, need and timeline. If at all we have not checked the client with whom we are going to forge a partnership has the adequate budget in hand or not. Have we checked what kind of paid-up capital they have? Have we checked their profit and loss statement? Have we checked what kind of budget they have got sanctioned in order to undertake certain kind of R&D project which is being discussed? If at all we have not done that particular test, I mean, the client is not qualified client. If at all we are not talking with the person who has the decision-making authority in that organization, we are heading nowhere. If at all we have not understood the fact whether the particular organization has this specific need for this technology, or I'm just pushing it unnecessarily, I mean, the client is not qualified. And last and not the least, the timeline. Whether the particular client is requiring this technology 3 months from now or 3 years from now. If at all we have not done this thing, it's not an industry for me, because it is ultimately going to disappoint me at the later point of time. So when I'm using the word industry, I'm saying a qualified client. And how many of our R&D labs have the mechanism or a very robust checklist by which they can qualify the client? That if at all my client with whom I am going to talk about my project or technology transfer will fulfill these requirements, I am not going to go ahead and, for example, sign the NDA or, for example, do XYZ. It's very, very important. The next key word is technology. I think, I mean, since morning people have been talking about it. But in my 12 years of experience working with industry, one thing I have understood very, very clearly. Technology is not the know-how document. It's not about IP. It's not about training. People, I mean, industry is not give damn to the demonstration and the process know-how document. They want the solution. Dr. Fani has also talked about it. Let me give you one example. For example, one of the labs has developed an electronic nose to detect the cashew nut rancidity. It's very, very good technology, and we have done our work on it, and we found that the biscuit manufacturers are the potential clients to pitch this technology, because the biscuit manufacturers use the cashew nuts in their biscuits. So we have pushed this technology to one of the largest biscuit manufacturers in India. And we said that, I mean, this particular electronic nose, if at all you will put it at your shop floor, can detect how many cashews have the rancidity problem and how many are clean. He said, I mean, that is absolutely wonderful, and the MD was excited about this technology, and they said, please talk about the later stages, how to go forward. And then he suddenly called the shop floor manager. The shop floor manager came and he said that this is extremely good. I mean, we have been looking for such kind of electronic nose which can detect this thing, but my problem is when you detect a particular rancid cashew, and my cashews and biscuits are moving on the conveyor belt at the speed of 5 seconds per 2 feet, what will I do after that? You will just detect it. Whether I put hundreds of people to pick those cashew nuts or what? So I want a complete solution. I don't want your electronic nose. I want an engineering solution which will not only detect the bad cashew out of the conveyor belt, but also pick it up, so that my problem will get resolved. That deal we could not do because of this particular problem. So therefore I am saying that the technology is not the know-how document or what you are offering to the industry. They have different connotation, and you have to think on that line. Let me give you another example. There is another laboratory which has developed titania-based coating which can go on the glasses. The glasses which you put on the buildings and so on and so forth, which makes them self-cleaning. Okay, so you need not to wash the glasses. For example, if it is a 50-floor building, it is very difficult and resource-intensive job to wash the glasses after 5 years or 10 years. So they said that, I mean, this is a fantastic coating. You just need to apply on the glasses, and whenever there is UV radiation on that, they will absorb that and then clean it up. It has a very good application in the kitchens also, in the hospitals also, because it can kill the bacteria and viruses.